Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly. This is Grizzly True Crime, and today we're back to refine this timeline because now Keon King has been charged with murder. The best thing I read all day is that he's being held on no bail. Oh my word, the relief. Thank goodness, no bail. Sure. And now a probable cause affidavit is out, and so it's got a lot of details. Now I do want to say that Grizzly Cat and I have been working hard to get a copy of that probable cause affidavit. Unfortunately, Philadelphia didn't send it to us yet, so I asked Gavin Fish. He's also a YouTuber. I'm sure you guys know who Gavin Fish is, and he sent me a copy, which is just so sweet because he's going to go over that later as well. So I hope you guys will go check his episode out too. Thank you to Gavin Fish. I've linked his channel in the description box below. And also I asked the chief investigative reporter and anchor for CBS News Philadelphia, they're awesome, Joe Holden, for a copy. Wanted to see, could I maybe get a copy today? And he also sent me a copy. That is so sweet, oh my word. So thank you to Gavin Fish and to Joe Holden so that we could have facts on paper, because there's a lot of details that are being shared in media reports, but I just feel like here and there there's something missing. There's a sentence or two missing. We need to know more. Okay, so we're going to know more because we've got it. Okay, so Alley Cat says, thank you so much for your sticker. You said, yes, just in time for the last hour of my workday. Hey, naughty. You said, love me some Grizzly while I work. Thank you so much, Alley Cat. So please like and share so that others can also find this information. Here we do like bullet points, maps, facts, presentations, timelines, and all of that, right? Okay, so now check, you can see there's a map behind me. I've been working on this map, okay, today. Now what I'm going to do, we're going to do 2 rounds, okay, 2 layers. You know I like to go layer by layer, right? We're going to first do just layer 1, which is this. Okay, wait, hello, where is it? There we go. Let's first do the first layer of my presentation, then we're going to look at the probable cause affidavit afterwards, okay? Because this is more of a visual timeline that I was working on, which is, it's got the new information from the probable cause affidavit, right? And this is what I was working on before I got a copy of the PCA to, add to this. So, Kada Scott. This is the case of Kada Scott. There's a playlist about this case. If you're not all caught up, please check out the playlist and you can find all the episodes there, right? You can also expand the description box and see what the case is about there. Okay, so her manner of death has been ruled a homicide. So that's new since we last spoke. Her cause of death has been released as a gunshot wound to the head. Now, one, that's extremely sad. I'm so sorry for her family, for what they're going through, hearing all of this, coming out in the media and everything as well. It must be very difficult. And 2, I was also very surprised to hear that, knowing that Keon King is the one charged with her murder. And what we know about him is that he's a stalker, a kidnapper, and a strangler. And he's also committed sexual assault. So I was like, whoa, that is just, I didn't expect that. But, he's also into all sorts of other things, and he's the local pharmacist, they say. So I don't know, he probably did have a lot of weapons and things, and I don't know the context of what happened here, but homicide and gunshot wound to the head. I'm very proud of the Grizzlies that have been in the comments section of some of the news clips when they said that Kada's cause of death was homicide. And then the Grizzlies, I see you all. I replied to some of you. You were like, no, it's manner of death. Well done, guys. You do watch trials with me. Hey. Okay, so Kada, just in case you didn't know who's Kada, she graduated with a major in communications from Penn State's College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and she was in the midst of pursuing her entrepreneurial dream. She was only 23 years old. And she was one out of 32 women who competed for the Miss Philadelphia USA title. Rika Clemens was crowned the winner on August 2nd of 2025. So there's a lot more to Kada than just these 2 bullet points. I just wanted to remind you, maybe in case this refreshes your memory, of which case we're talking about, right? Now, on October 2nd, Keon King texted Kada and said, let me just make this slightly smaller. Okay, Keon King texted Kada and said, yo, Kada, this my new number? Kada said, who it is? And he replied, Kel, identified as Keon King. Now, when you read the PCA with me after this first round, you guys are going to be shocked. There's 2 females that they have listed. I've redacted their names because I'm like, whoa, they've got names, addresses, phone numbers, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get arrested at some point. Okay, so by the way, just to clarify, when I said Keon King is like the local pharmacist, I mean street pharmacist. I mean a drug dealer. Okay, just so that we're all clear. Are we all on the same page? Allegedly. That's what the locals are saying, right? Okay, so on October 2nd, so it goes back to October 2nd. Yo, Kada, this is my new number. Who it is? Kel. October 3rd, a black 2008 Hyundai Accent was stolen from the 6600 block of Sprague Street, which was idling and belonged to a food delivery driver. So someone was delivering food to someone, like a Uber Eats or something, and Keon King, allegedly him, stole the vehicle, seized the opportunity. Oh, yes, this is easy. Here's a vehicle idling right here. Let me take that. On October 4th, at 10:07 a.m., now you will see some of the media reports say PM, and that confused the hell out of me. So I'm really glad to have a copy of the PCA because they say AM. 10 in the morning, 10:07 a.m., Kada texted Keon, kidnap me again. And Keon replied, better be up too. And that was then followed by text about plans to meet up later that night. Now at first when I saw that, what, kidnap me again? I think we all did a double take when we heard that, right? If you've heard that, like, what kidnap me again? But, you know, where my mind went was like, oh, okay, maybe they'd hung out before. Maybe she means like, come kidnap me from work again. You know, can you come pick me up? Or whatever it is. I don't think, in my own mind, and you let me know what you think, I don't think she knew he was a literal kidnapper, a stalker and kidnapper. Because I don't think one would say that to an actual kidnapper. Right? If you had knowledge of that. I think it was more like casual, maybe a little bit flirty, kidnap me again. And he said, better be up too. Kada went on a date with another guy to Top Golf that evening. She got home, she changed for work, and she left at approximately 9:45 p.m. She arrived at work just before 10 p.m. to work her 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. Okay? So let's see what you guys say. Yeah, Unlock Clarity says, no, kidnap me just means rescue me, right? Especially with an overnight shift or something like kidnap me again, quickly take me for a drive or whatever it could be. It could be many things. So I just got a stock image of a 2008 black Hyundai Accent, just so we can visualize what is this other vehicle that he stole from a food delivery driver. What does it look like? Because we're visual people over here, right? So there's the Hyundai Accent, which later was set ablaze and then compressed by the junkyard. So there's absolutely no evidence to recover there, unfortunately. And I do believe, based on the PCA and everything we've read, just like we speculated, that Kada was killed in the vehicle, which is why it was destroyed. And then we've got Keon King's 1999 gold Toyota Camry, which doesn't look so gold in that picture, but that's what's reported. It's gold. We've seen other pictures, right? Those are the 2 vehicles. Now keep that in mind for when you read the PCA. On October 4th, the PCA says T-Mobile records for Kada Scott's phone revealed 12 calls between 9:25 p.m. and 10:12 p.m. on the 4th of October of 2025, ending with a 43-second call from that number at 10:12 p.m. using a tower serving that Abington Avenue, which is right by her work. At 10:24 p.m., her phone ceased all network contact. Timing advanced data indicated her device traveled southeast from Chestnut Hill toward Mount Airy during that period where it went off the network. The missing person case was assigned to Detective M. O'Neill. So, police say that there's no report or indication that there was a previous incident involving Kada and Keon, because apparently they've been getting lots of questions about, wait, did he try to kidnap her before? Why? Because of his past as a stalker and a kidnapper. Like, did he try kidnap her before? No, it wasn't meant in that context at all from what I gather, right? But again, it's open to discussion. Let me know what you guys think, right? So at approximately 10 p.m. on October 4th of 2025, a co-worker overheard Kada on the phone outside, like as she arrived at work, outside on the phone saying, I can't believe you're calling me about this. Shh. Must I just say the word? Can't believe you're calling me about this shit. That's what she said. and the co-worker said that Kada appeared to be upset. At 10:09 p.m., there was a message that says, CM when you get here, which I guess would mean call me when you get here, right? Okay, so Leanne says, I have a question. Is Kada the same lady that made the creepy video of this rat looking in the window? I like the embedded snark in this question. Or is she a totally different lady? Totally different lady, totally different case. Also, when I say PCA, it's probable cause affidavit or the criminal complaint, which we'll read through together, right? Okay, so that was a different case. There's one woman with a protective order against him. That video that we saw before of him staring through the window and trying to go around to the other side, different victim. A victim who was kidnapped, assaulted, strangled, and she escaped, right? And she had apparently dated him in the past. So, 10:09 p.m., call me when you get here. So are you picturing it? Are you picturing what's going on here, huh? We'll look at the map as well that I've made for you afterwards. Now, still on October 4th, the phone that King allegedly used was registered to another person, investigators said. Oh, we're going to go into more detail about that. Police say the cell phone data showed Keon King and Kada Scott were together in the area of 495 East Abington Avenue around 10:15 p.m. that night and traveling eastbound toward Mount Pleasant Avenue. So, at 10:15 p.m., the cell phone data places Kada and Keon outside near her workplace. At 10:24 p.m., Kada's phone goes offline. So we're getting a lot more details than we heard before. As you can see there's 9 minutes where her phone was actually trackable, right? And so was his. We previously thought that his phone didn't ping at all, didn't show anywhere near her workplace. They say it did. Okay? Now, at 10:28 p.m., the Hyundai Accent was then seen on surveillance video backing into a parking spot near the playground across the driveway from the vacant Ada H. Lewis Middle School. A person was spotted in the surveillance video exiting the vehicle, walking through the playground towards the fence line between the rec center and the school. Cell phone data shows that Keon King traveled to the Aubrey Arboretum at approximately 11 p.m. before going to this other address, the 5500 block of Belmar Terrace. Now, I do want to put a YouTube disclaimer out there. I have to do it for the safety of my channel. YouTube doesn't like addresses. So YouTube, I am not sharing anything I'm not supposed to be sharing, nothing specific. I'm not doxing anyone. This is very public information from a probable cause affidavit and from public articles, media posts, and everything about this criminal case. A homicide investigation, right? Okay, so if you want to quickly see this presentation, if we start our little slideshow here, we'll start off at 6600 Sprague Street or Sprague Street. I just wanted to not be blurry for you at all. Hold on. So let's just zoom out a little bit. Hello. Let's go like this. Yeah, Sprague Street. Around there is where the vehicle, the Hyundai Accent, was stolen from on October 3rd of 2025, right? And then next, 8300 Rodney Street. Around that block is where Kada got home after her date on October 4th of 2025. Somewhere between 9:30 and 9:45 p.m. She changed and went to work. Then she went to work, which is here, the Terrace at Chestnut Hill, arriving shortly before 10 p.m. Then a co-worker heard her outside saying, I can't believe you're calling me about this shit. Shortly after that, there's messages flying between Keon King and Kada Scott. She says, call me when you get here. And then a dark SUV arrives, which is the Hyundai Accent. She gets into it and they drive off. After that, they go to this Aubrey Recreation Center. So remember the police searched this Aubrey Arboretum? Yeah, they went to this Aubrey Recreation Center and backed into either here or here. Okay? And they said by the playground, so it's probably more backed into here. In that stolen vehicle. And her phone and his phone places them here. Her phone is then off the network from 10:24 p.m. on October 4th of 2025. If you then go further, he, at 11 p.m., goes to the Aubrey Arboretum. I don't know where he goes in here, but he's doing something in here, which is also why they searched the area. Now remember that Kada's body was found here. So to back into this driveway, they believe that Kada was killed 20 to 30 minutes after she was taken from work. So very soon after arriving here, she would have very likely been shot in the vehicle, right? That's gunshot wound to the head is how she died. And so we don't know Why? If I wanted to speculate, I would think that he seems like a possessive, jealous type. I'm just guessing now. I'm speculating. And maybe he was aware she went on a date with someone else that night. I don't know. I could imagine it could be something like that, but you never know. But then there's these two other people, two potential other accomplices. Oh my word, and they seem to be female. Yeah, that just, I don't know. That just confuses things a lot, right? There's still a lot we probably will learn as we go, especially at the trial, whenever that will be. So that's where we are there. He goes to the Arboretum, and then to this address at Belmar Terrace, which is like 40 minutes away. The 5500 block of Belmar Terrace. There's two females that live there. The females are 27 and 29 years old. Yeah, he's 21 years old. Kada was 23 years old. It's not Gabby, just to let you know. The name is not Gabby. I know that there's a TikTok video out there of a lady called Gabby. She's saying she's Keon's friend. She didn't want to call the police. She knew that he knew Kada, and she called him and said, hey, Kada's missing. And he's like, what? And he put the phone down and all of that. There was a whole thing there. But the names of the two females provided in the PCA, it's not Gabby, so it's not that lady. It's somebody else. Two other females lived at this address, and he goes back to this address. Okay, so now we're here. I hope you're following. I tried to make it very nice and visual for you so that we can understand everything that's going on here, right? Also, for Leanne's question about the rat, the creepy video that the lady took, it was the same guy though. It's the same guy, right? Just different female, different victims. Other victims that we know of so far survived. Kada did not. Now on October 5th, at 11:56 p.m., yeah, October 5th, the next night. Remember how they said that Hyundai Accent was just left, parked at that rec center for a day and a half? Yeah. So how did he get home? That's the question. There's already help there. Now we know he had help. Okay? At 11:56 p.m. the next day, there's a gold Toyota Camry that he drives, seen on surveillance parking at the Aubrey Recreation Center, next door to where Kada's body was found. Two people exited the vehicle, and 4 hours later, at 3:56 a.m., two individuals appeared to take a large object consistent with the body out of the passenger side. Okay, so this we're going to read from the PCA. Don't worry about that screenshot. We're going to get more details from the PCA. In fact, I might switch to that in a moment. I'm going to switch to the probable cause affidavit in a moment because it's way more detailed. You need the context, okay? We do like the context, details, right? Now, by the way, just to skip ahead, we're going to go over the map and the timeline again now. Keon King was identified as a suspect in Kada's disappearance on October 14th. He then surrendered to the police. Okay. Is he used to his family bailing him out or what? He had a $2.5 million cash bail. Thankfully, he wasn't bailed out. And now he's being held on no bail because of the upgraded charges. On October 15th, Kada's phone case, iPad cover, glasses, debit card were located at that abandoned school. Another tip was received about this Toyota Camry, and they found that at the 4000 block of Gypsy Lane. And then at the Belmar Terrace home, police then questioned two females who were then released. And they found in that home contractor bags, a hammer, ammunition, and other items. Well, damn, that sounds quite hectic, especially when they're listed like that, right? On October 17th, there was a reward offered. He appeared in court, $2.5 million bail set. Later that evening, anonymous tips prompted a renewed search at the school. On October 18th, as we know, I'm going a bit faster now because we know this already. We've been through this a few times together. Female human remains were discovered in a shallow grave. Now they say, NBC now says, NBC 10 Philadelphia. Community members and Scott's family members who had been searching for Scott since her disappearance said they found signs of a point of interest at the Ada H. Lewis Middle School, such as fresh dirt and a strange smell. Then later on Friday at 10 p.m., police received a very specific anonymous tip regarding Scott's whereabouts. I still don't know if that's the people who were searching that found a board and were digging and all of that or not. I don't know. Also, to clarify, if you missed yesterday or the day before, the most recent episode, no other additional remains were found. That was a reporter misspeaking. Okay. On October 19th, the remains were identified as Kada Scott's. New charges were proved against King including arson, causing catastrophe, conspiracy, unauthorized use of an automobile, tampering with evidence, recklessly endangering another person, and receiving stolen property. On October 22nd, which is, well, today's October 23rd of 2025, Kada's manner of death was ruled a homicide. So that was yesterday, just late yesterday. And her cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head. Keon King was then charged with murder, robbery, theft, violation of the Uniform Firearms Act, possessing an instrument of crime, tampering with evidence, abuse of a corpse, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. Damn, he got a lot more charges, a lot. Also, if you still want to give gifts, like self-care packages, gifts, all those things that they said at the press conference, that's still happening from Tuesday, October 21st through Friday, October 24th, and Saturday, also October 25th from 9 a.m. to noon. The other days are 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So really, there's only the Friday, October 24th, and the Saturday left, I guess. You can also call that number if you have questions, and if you have any tips, please continue to call that into the tip lines, right? So again, we've got the two cases. We're going to go back to the map now. I've updated this now with all the charges. Look at these charges. No wonder he's being held without bail. Remember they said they're splitting the case into two. There's two different cases. One related to the arson, one related to now the murder of Kada Scott. Murder, robbery, theft, violation of the Uniform Firearms Act, possessing an instrument of crime, kidnapping for ransom, false imprisonment, and then some of the previous charges were refiled with other victims. Stalking, repeatedly commit acts to cause fear, recklessly endangering, tampering with physical evidence, criminal use of communication facility, that's one case. The second case is arson, causing catastrophe, conspiracy, unauthorized use of an automobile, receiving stolen property, reckless endangerment of another person, and tampering with evidence. Okay, now the rest we've gone over here before. There he is. Oh my word, Keon King. Wow. Okay, so while he's innocent or proven guilty in a court of law, oh damn. He's apparently got a really good lawyer. There's even a petition to try to get that lawyer off the case. Interesting. So, are we now ready to dive into the probable cause affidavit? So if I go again from here, we're going to start back here, where Kada last was, on October 4th, 2025 at 10 p.m., right? Okay. Now, C. Taylor said, I find it interesting that her personal items were thrown so close to the scene instead of being burnt in the stolen car. It is interesting, right? And it was a cell phone cover, an iPad cover, so a cell phone case, iPad cover, her debit card, and glasses. It's very odd. It is very odd, right? And I do wonder if it's one of these two females that called in this anonymous tip to be like, you mister, you need to search again, right? Okay. So, Sarcasm for Day said, I'm behind in the stream, but the Hyundai Accent that went to Kada's work is not an SUV. Which was it? Well, it was described by a co-worker as a dark SUV. And you know, if you're not a car person, you might describe it that way. I don't know. I haven't heard of another car related to this case. They believe he stole that car and took it from work in that car and then parked that car by the Aubrey Arboretum. Okay, so now let's bring this up. And everybody buckle up, because holy crap, this affidavit. Again, thank you to Gavin Fish and Joe Holden. Joe Holden is a reporter with CBS News Philadelphia. And Gavin Fish has a YouTube channel, and they both sent me a copy of this today. So thank you so much. All right. Affidavit of probable cause. Is it big enough for you? Can you see? I'll make it like this. Okay, so I'm going to start from here. Let's not redact that. Let's get a highlighter instead from here. Okay, we're starting from there, because this is just qualifying the police officer who's writing it, right? Okay, on 10/03/25, that's October 3rd of 2025, at approximately 11:30 p.m., 14th District officers responded to 6600 Sprague Street for a theft in progress involving a 2008 black Hyundai Accent hatchback. I redacted the license plates and VIN numbers and things for YouTube's community guidelines. So then the owner, working as a delivery driver, reported leaving the vehicle running and unlocked. when an unknown black male wearing all black entered and fled northbound. So to me, that's again premeditated. Maybe he just dresses like that. See, I'm wearing black. I can't say anything. But you know what I mean? Like, to wear all black and be creeping around like a neighborhood. What are you doing? To steal a car the day before Kate is taken from work. To me, it comes across as quite premeditated, right? So it says the theft was recorded under that number. So it fled northbound, okay? On the 5th of October of 2025, officers responded to the 8300 block of Rodney Street, which is where Kada's family lives, for a missing person, identified as Kada Scott, a 23-year-old female. The complainant's mother stated that Kada Scott failed to return home after work the prior evening. A co-worker, VA, reported last seeing Kada Scott around 10 p.m. on the 4th of October of 2025 outside her workplace, the Terrace at Chestnut Hill. Now, this is a very public address. KS appeared upset and was overheard saying, "I can't believe you're calling me about this shit." KS then walked toward a dark-colored SUV parked outside. The SUV left immediately after. T-Mobile records for Kada Scott's phone revealed 12 calls from a number between 9:25 p.m. and 10:12 p.m. on the 4th of October of 2025. So is it safe to assume that the person calling her about this shit could be Keon King? I think so, but we don't know that. It could have been someone else for all we know. But it sounds like it could have been him. Okay, and then it said, ending with a 43-second call from that number at 10:12 p.m. using a tower serving Abington Avenue. After 10:24 p.m., her phone ceased all network contact. Timing advanced data indicated her device traveled southeast from Chestnut Hill toward Mount Airy during that period where it went off the network. The missing person case was assigned to Detective M. O'Neill. On the 7th of October of 2025, at 3:31 a.m., officers and Engine 73 responded to a vehicle fire on the 2300 block of 74th Avenue. The burnt vehicle, was identified as the same stolen Hyundai Accent. Engine 73 ruled the fire arson. This was assigned to Detective Priadka. Investigators during the course of this investigation determined the theft, missing person, and arson incidents were related. So I'll show you this quickly again, which is going to be this one. If we just go one back, then Rodney Street, this is around the block where Kada stayed with her family. This is where she worked. This is where the vehicle was stolen from. And this is the Aubrey Arboretum. This orange one is where the arson occurred. Just so that you can visualize where that all is, right? So it's all within this area, but here's the vehicle stolen from, and here the arson was on the 2300 block of 74th Avenue. Okay. So it says a joint homicide and FBI violent crimes task force investigation determined number, I redacted it, was a text now VoIP account. Search warrant returns showed communications between this number and Kada Scott from the 28th of September to the 4th of October of 2025. On the 2nd of October, the account messaged, "Yo, Kada, this is my new number." The complainant replied, "Who this?" And the user identified himself as Kel. On 10:04:25 at 10:07 a.m. in the morning, okay, the 4th of October in the morning, Kada Scott texted, "Kidnap me again." To which the suspect replied, "Better be up too," followed by plans to meet later that night. Their last exchange at 10:09 p.m. read, "Call me when you get here," or CM when you hear, which I think would be "call me when you hear." Now these dates, when this number, there's communications between this number and Kada Scott from the 28th of September to the 4th of October. I wonder if those were the harassing calls, because remember Kada told friends that there was someone harassing her, calling the whole time. I wonder who that was, you know? So, by the way, that friend of Keon King, Gabby, that I mentioned earlier that made a TikTok, if you've been following this case closely all over the YouTube streets, you'll know you'll know about it. I didn't show it here, but it's on TikTok, right? That friend has been charged with all sorts of things. There's a whole rap sheet there, and it's like harassment and endangering the safety of all sorts of things. So I don't know. People are speculating it could have been her harassing Kada as well, but I don't have any evidence of that. All I know is that Kada told her friends that somebody was harassing her, calling her, and texting her a lot. And those dates to me are interesting, that the communications are happening between those dates. Of course, it could be somebody else. It could be a telemarketer harassing her for all we know, right? At the same time. Many things can happen at the same time. But yes, on the 2nd of October, that's when Keon King said, "Yo, Kada, this is my new number." She said, "Who this?" And he said, "Cal." And on the 4th in the morning, Kada said, "Kidnap me again." To which the suspect replied, "Better be up too," followed by plans to meet later that night. So they did plan to meet up later that night. And she was going to work later that night from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. Okay, last exchange 10:09 p.m. Call me when you hear. The Text Now account was registered to, now just keep the first name in, so you can see it's a female. Madeline? Who the heck are you? What? And Madeline is 27 years old, a 27-year-old female. The Text Now account. Now listen to all of this. This is why we need the PCA, right? Okay, for anyone just joining now, I hope you'll watch from the beginning as well, because we're getting into a lot of details here. And yeah, Keon King has been charged with murder. Kada Scott was murdered. How she died was a gunshot wound to the head, and he's being held on no bail. He's received a lot more charges, right? Rhonda's lovely sparks, welcome. Okay, the text, now pay attention everyone, here we go. The Text Now account was registered to Madeline, redacted, it's a Gmail account, using Verizon IP addresses linked to phone number, redacted. Verizon, RTT, and T-Mobile TAD data showed the suspect and the complainant's devices together in the area of Abington Avenue at around 10:15 p.m. on the 4th of October of 2025, traveling southeast towards Mount Pleasant Avenue. Now, the suspect and the complainant is Keon King and Kada Scott, right? And so they were traveling towards that Arboretum Rec Center. So it's then to the Arboretum area until about 11 p.m. before the suspect device returned to this 5500 block of Belmar Terrace. That is where two females were when police went to that address, because they tracked his cell phone, right? They could see everywhere he went, like a dumbass. Like he's going everywhere. They like tracking his phone everywhere that he went, you know? So they go to that address, knock on the door, speak to two females. They call them in for questioning, and then they release them. So they haven't been arrested. But sure, this sounds interesting. Thank you, court lurker. Alicia said there will be a pop quiz. You know it. Okay. So, okay. Now, until about 11 p.m. Remember, Kada's phone was lost on the network at 10:24 p.m. And Keon King went to the Arboretum from the rec center at around 11 p.m. Then returned to Belmar Terrace, which is 41 minutes away, driving. Subscriber checks tied the IPs to Belmar Terrace, the home of Madeline. Okay, 27-year-old female. On the 9th of October of 2025, Homicide executed a warrant at that address with SWAT assistance. Madeline and another lady called Larisha were detained. 3 phones, 1 tablet, contractor bags, latex gloves, a hammer, and 9mm ammunition were recovered. The Verizon suspect phone was not located. Okay, when they say 3 phones and 1 tablet, just remember that Kada Scott's phone case was found, phone cover was found there, or phone case, yes, at the school, the abandoned school, very close to where her body was found. And her iPad case was also found. So when they say 3 phones, I would think, they didn't say, but one of them would be hers and 1 tablet. They didn't reveal that here now, but I would think so. Okay. Attempts to interview both detainees were conducted. Attempts, okay? Oh. Madeline initially requested a lawyer upon the administration of her Miranda warnings. When detectives left the room thereafter, she yelled that she did not need a lawyer and asked to speak with detectives Daly and Kremen. She subsequently was re-advised of her Miranda warnings, which were fully waived, and stated the following. She does not know the complainant, which would be Kada, nor was she ever around the Aubrey Arboretum or the complainant's place of work. She did own and operate a TextNow number, but she was unsure of the exact number. She did confirm her account's email was the one tied to that one that Keon King was using, which is an email address at gmail.com, right? And indicated that prior to the complainant's disappearance, no one else had access to the account. She did receive calls from the complainant's family on October 6th and indicated that she had no knowledge of calling or texting the complainant. The complainant's Kada Scott, okay? So she received call, this Madeline person, 27 years old, living at that address where they find the hammer, the contractor bags, the ammunition, 3 phones, and a tablet. That lady? There's 2 ladies there, right? Madeline and another one, Larisha. Okay, so Madeline received calls from Kada's family on October 6th, so then she would know Kada, right? Okay, and indicated she had no knowledge of calling or texting Kada or having any other information to her whereabouts. Shortly after the call, Redacted gave her Android device with the TextNow account to Larisha, the other woman who lives at the house. She's 29 years old. So she said she's throwing that one under the bus. That's what I'm reading. Madeline is like, oh no, shortly after the call, she gave her Android device with a TextNow account to Larisha. Now, Redacted emphatically denied any knowledge of owning or possessing the suspect Verizon phone in question. Stated to detectives that she'd been staying with Redacted on Belmont Terrace for several days. Indicated that she had previously been involved in an intimate relationship with Redacted. Those are the 2 women being allegedly involved in an intimate relationship together. Okay? I just redacted their names. Otherwise people are going to Facebook the crap out of them. Okay, so right, so it says, we know how social media can be, hey? So, yeah, they were previously involved with an intimate relationship, and those are the 2 females' names together. Redacted was present for the phone call, so that would be the other woman, Larisha, okay, was present for the phone call from the decedent's family to Madeline, and stated that Madeline became nervous after the call. Redacted, however, never gave her the phone in question. Redacted gave investigators consent to search her Apple iPhone. Both statements were memorialized via audio and video recording equipment. Analysis of the suspect's Verizon RTT records showed recurring travel. Okay, the suspect, this is now Keon King. There was recurring travel between Belmont Terrace and Aubrey Arboretum, including on the 7th of October of 2025, between 2 and 2:52 a.m. Oh, he's a night owl, is he? And he's going between this Belmont Terrace, which I'll show you again here. He's going between, wait, Belmont Terrace. Am I blind? Wait, oh there, it's all the way down here. He's going from Belmont Terrace to the Arboretum and back. Belmont Terrace to the Arboretum and back. His phone shows him doing that, right? And sometimes at like 2:30 in the morning. Okay, because that's not dodgy. Sure, you're just driving, right? I know. I can hear his defense attorney already. He was just taking a drive. He liked to stargaze, okay? Okay, like to stargaze, sure. They didn't say that. I'm just referencing Koberger because that's what his defense attorney said in the Idaho case. Moving on. So, recurring travel, again, between Belmont Terrace, where the 2 women who were apparently previously in an intimate relationship together, okay, he's traveling between their house and the Aubrey Arboretum, okay, including the 7th of October of 2025. Why is that date important between those times? Because the 7th is when there's an arson event. Okay, the same device was last active on, listen here, I hate it when it does that. We want to highlight this, on the 9th of October of 2025 near 5500 Belmont Terrace. A frequency analysis identified Redacted and Redacted as top contacts, so the 2 ladies. The latter belonged to Albert, let me take this off the screen and just quickly see what those names say. Oh, those are just numbers. Okay, wait. Okay, wait, I just wanted to make sure. Numbers and numbers. Hold on, we're gonna look at those contacts again. So ignore what I just said, let's do it again. Back to the highlighter. Thanks. Okay. A frequency analysis identified a number and another number as top contacts. The latter belonged to Albert, who identified the user of that phone number as K, a black male, mid-20s, thin build, 5'9", twisted hair. I don't know who that is. 5'9"? Is that Keon King? He's 21. I think he's 5'5", 5'7". He's 5'7", huh? Twisted hair. It sounds like it could be him, right? K. All right, so further RTT analysis from the 8th of October of 2025 revealed the suspect device traveled from Belmont Terrace into the city center, lingering near the Criminal Justice Center and Reading Terminal Market for 45 minutes before returning. RTCC poll camera footage hits traced a gold Toyota Camry following the same route. A patrol alert distributed stills from that footage. Officers Dohan and is it Welter or Viter? I can't really see. Welter recognized the vehicle as a 1999 Toyota Camry. There's the registration number they asked the public to look out for. Registered to Keon King. And this was on East Durham Street. ALPR confirmed a hit on the 6th of October of 2025 at redacted, consistent with RTT data. King was scheduled in court that day, so he drove to court for another case that he was involved in. There's the docket number and all of that. He went to court that day. King was later stopped on the 6th of October of 2025 at 6:13 p.m. at this 60th Street address. RTT Arcs again placed his phone in the same area at the time of the stop. Previous stops were on the 1st of October and the 2nd of October of 2025 of King occurred. He was stopped a lot. During the 10:01:25 stop, redacted, one of the females from that house was listed as a passenger, further connecting all parties and devices. So in this PCA, probable cause affidavit, they are connecting Keon King with two females and an address that he kept going back and forth to, an address where they found an iPad, 3 cell phones, contractor bags, a hammer, and ammunition. And these females, it gets worse for them, I think, because there's people seen on camera and it will just take them time to prove things, in my opinion. But okay. The evidence established that Kada Scott went missing under suspicious circumstances and that the Verizon VoIP devices used to contact her were operated by Keon King. His phone's RTT data and ALPR or video corroborate his possession of the 1999 Camry and continuous movement with Kada Scott's last known locations. On the 14th of October of 2025, Assistant District Attorney Toslowski approved charges of kidnapping, REAP, stalking, false imprisonment, use of a communication facility, and tampering with evidence. King surrendered that day, accompanied by counsel, and declined interview. So we're not going to see an interrogation video of him, I would gather, because he's just like, no wonder. I'm like, he surrendered for what? Oh, he walked in there with an attorney, and it seems like a powerful defense attorney from what I'm gathering. Okay, he's also been doing radio shows, that attorney. He's proud to represent this client. All right, which attorney's got to do what they got to do. I'm just saying people seem to be saying he's very good at what he does, and they're a little worried about it, to the point where there's a petition to get him off the case. Okay, so, but he's allowed to have the best defense attorney possible. And apparently his family's quite well off. And I still see it rumored all over Facebook that his dad is a retired detective. Yesterday, someone in chat said stepdad, but all over social media, I keep seeing people saying his father is a retired detective. So I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. Now, on the 15th of October of 2025, police responding to 6100 Ardley Street, the ADA H. Lewis Middle School, recovered Kada Scott's EBT card. Later that day, King's gold Toyota Camry was located unattended at the Gypsy Lane condos. Surveillance showed the vehicle arriving at 3 p.m. on the 10th of October of 2025, and a lone male matching King's exiting okay, exiting the vehicle repeatedly, accessing the trunk, and leaving the car. It says Kay's family provided detectives with an older iPad linked to her iCloud account. Manual review revealed. Now this was unfortunately not scanned in very well. Can't see that, but it provided this account. Okay, iPad, this is now Kada's old iCloud account, right? So there's an old iPad and linked to her iCloud account. So it says iPad last seen on October 4th of 2025 at 10:21 p.m. near Anderson Street. iPhone last seen at 10:04, 10:24. That's when her phone went off the network near Anderson Street. And iWatch last seen on the 5th of October at 1:14 a.m. That's long after her phone was no longer on the network. And based on what the police have said, hours after she was killed. So Stefan says the intern got tired of scanning documents? Maybe. Okay, so there again, 10:05. So remember, on October 4th, she got to work at 10 p.m. She was on the phone, upset. A coworker saw her say to, or heard her say to someone, "I can't believe you're calling me about the shit." And then she was texting with Keon King, and there were many calls that he was also making. A dark SUV arrives, she gets in and she goes. 10:24, no more cell phone connected to the network. They go to that Arbery Recreation Center. She's murdered. I don't know if it's one, but it's gunshot wound to the head is what they say. And that car is left there for a day and a half. But at 11 p.m. on October 4th, he's going to the Arbery Arboretum, which is probably where he got picked up, right? He probably got picked up there in the gold Camry is what I'm thinking is going to come out later, right? That would make sense to me. No wonder they were searching there so much. Okay, whoa, if so, what a plan. He's trying to throw them off, like, fetch me in my vehicle. Listen, friends, can you fetch me in my vehicle? Do you know what I mean? If so, then it's very premeditated. And they're all going down. Anyway, so he goes to the Arbery Arboretum at 11 p.m.-ish, but her iWatch was last seen at 1:14 a.m. at the Arbery Recreation Center. This placed her watch stationary at the rec center lot after the suspect phone left the area. A survey conducted by Detective Luke and your affiant was negative for the watch. Detectives did observe potential sources of surveillance attached to the rec center that was closed at that time. On the 18th of October of 2025, detectives Kelly and Claire confirmed video related to Kada Scott was stored, and detectives Luke and Wilson responded to recover footage. A preliminary review of the recovered video footage in summary depicts the following events in chronological order. It is noted that at all times listed are approximately and after conversion from system time to real time. Okay, now really pay attention, right? Now we're going to hear about other people that could be involved. Okay. Let's just see. Okay. Sorry, I'm just seeing if I missed something there. On the 4th of October of 2025, at 10:28 p.m., 4 minutes after Kada's phone is no longer reporting to the network, right? A medium to dark colored vehicle pulls into the parking lot in front of the Arbery Recreation Center, backing into a spot in the row closest to the playground at the rec center, furthest from Ardley Street to the northwestern end of the parking lot, across a driveway from the abandoned Ada Lewis Middle School. Okay, so now let's just try to decode all of that. You said what now? Okay, so go here to the Arbery Rec Center. So across from the playground, that would make sense. I think it's this here, right? Most northwest, yeah? This side. It's going to be in here. Definitely backing up in here. Do you see it as well? Let's put the little man here. Let's have a look, shall we? Here's the school. Yeah, and we did see searches as well. And police activity and everything there. In there. I mean, how far can you back in? Not much, hey? There's a pole there. Unless they lifted that and went in. But this, okay? Sorry, am I making you dizzy? My bad. Okay, so here we go. We're looking around. And at night, it must be very dark around here. Remember, this is an abandoned school. It's been abandoned since 2008. And now there's also a lot of talk about demolishing the school. Okay, so we go back here. They say, one more time, a medium to dark colored vehicle, 4th of October, 10:28 p.m., 4 minutes after Kada's phone is lost on the network. Dark colored vehicle pulls into a parking lot in front of the Arbery Rec Center, backing into a spot in the row closest to the playground at the Rec Center, furthest from Ardley Street on the northwest end of the parking lot, across a driveway from the abandoned Ada Lewis Middle School. It was noted that after observing that vehicle parked in the same spot for over, see now they say 2.5 days, That makes more sense. When they said a day and a half at the press conference, I'm like, why a day and a half? Then there's like a half to a day missing based on the timeline. 2.5 days. Both during nighttime and daylight hours. The vehicle's appearance is consistent with being an older model Hyundai Accent. One individual is observed exiting the driver's seat of the vehicle before walking away through the playground towards the fence line between the two properties. So now we're going to have to go back there quickly. So it could also be, I mean, here's the parking. It could also be in here, right? In here, all the way to the end here. And then if he's walking to the fence line, walking all along this fence line to the back, well, you just got to cross over here, and this is where Kada's body was found, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So that is what we have there. Let's just, yeah, okay, so we have orientated ourselves again. Okay, back to the document. This is how I do it. When I'm doing this alone, when you guys are not with me, and I love it when you're with me, thank you so much for being here. Please like if you like this sort of format, if you like reading documents and looking at the maps and looking at timelines and trying to figure this all out together, because I like to visualize it. And once I visualize it, I don't forget it. So I hope it helps you as well, right? So there's that dark vehicle. They believe Kada was killed within 20 to 30 minutes after being picked up from work, so it checks out. And she was shot in the head. So I think he killed her in the car. But then a male, this is so crazy that he just left the car there as well, because then technically there could have been a body in the trunk. He may have moved her body to the trunk, or the boot as we call it in South Africa, the back, right? And just left the car there. That's so crazy. But okay, it also says no unauthorized vehicles allowed on this property. So like how that was just there for 2.5 days. My goodness. Okay, so it says it was noted that after observing that vehicle parked in the same spot for over 2.5 days, both during nighttime and daylight hours, the vehicle's appearance is consistent with being this stolen Hyundai Accent, an older model. One individual, I think that's Keon King, is observed exiting the driver's seat of the vehicle before walking away through the playground towards the fence line between the two properties. On the 5th of October of 2025, next day, at about 11:39 p.m., a vehicle, and now we really have to pay attention. I think I even have to zoom in for you. Really, oh my word. A vehicle is observed pulling into the parking lot. So remember that Hyundai Accent is just there. It's just there. Okay? Next day, another vehicle is observed pulling into the parking lot and backing into a spot in the row closest to the street, facing towards the recreation center, the playground, and the suspect vehicle, which is still parked in the same spot. So a different vehicle arrives. This vehicle is consistent in appearance with a 1999 Toyota Camry, attributed to Keon King. At least 2 individuals exit that vehicle. One who is on foot and one who appears to ride around the parking lot on a motorized scooter or e-bike type device before both leave the camera angle. The vehicle stays parked at that location for almost 4.5 hours until about 3:56 a.m. when 2 individuals emerge from the playground area and approach the area where the original suspect vehicle is parked. Now, we can read between the lines, right? They went there to dig the hole, the grave. They went there to dig the grave where they put Kada's body in. Am I right? Because they arrived there at what time? These people in Keon's car. At least 2, 3, they go there from 11:39, and for 4.5 hours they're back there. Wow. Okay, then they emerge from the playground area, approach the area where the original suspect vehicle is parked. So now they're not going to the vehicle they arrived in, they go into the other vehicle. One of those 2 individuals motions toward the other vehicle parked towards the streetlights, which then turns its headlights on and drives out of the parking lot. The 2 individuals on foot then approach the suspect vehicle. You see, that's why they say there's at least 2 people helping, because I think one's driving now and 2 are standing there. Okay. Phew. Right, so one of those 2 individuals motions towards the other vehicle parked towards the streetlights, which then turns its headlights on, drives out of the parking lot. The 2 individuals on foot then approach the suspect vehicle and remove a heavy object consistent with the human body via the passenger side, okay, not even in the trunk or boot, via the passenger side of the 2-door vehicle and carry that object towards the playground and in that general direction where human remains were recovered on October 18th of 2025. Like, how? How was a car left there with a body in it for 2.5 days? I know it's an abandoned school, but even at that rec center, does no one go there? Did no one go there? Like, what? What is going on? Rexy says, don't get confused. I hope not. Are you getting confused? Should I show you the map again? I hope you're following, right? Wait, this will help. So we're back here, right? October 4th, quickly. October 3rd, a vehicle stolen from here. And then on October 4th, Kada leaves from home. She goes to work. She's taken from here, from work, in a dark vehicle, which is the stolen, it sounds to be the stolen Hyundai Accent. That stolen Hyundai Accent drives to this Arboretum area and parks at this recreation center here. Parks. He leaves it there. Kada is very likely killed in the car. He leaves the car there. And then he goes to the Arboretum because his phone tells the police that. He goes here. And I believe, if I were to fill in the blanks, in my opinion, speculating, his gold Camry was driven by other people to this Arboretum, and he was picked up there and went home to their house, the two females, okay? The next night, so that black car is still just parked here, very likely with Kada's body in it. Or, I don't know if because he left this area for a little bit, walked along the fence line, maybe just went to check it out, maybe already placed her body back there, I don't know. Anyway, the vehicle is just left there, right? Next night, October 5th, the gold Camry, the thing that he drives around, arrives. And at least 2 people get out of that vehicle. And they parking around here, and they motioning to this other vehicle, and then 2 people go there to that black car, and they take out what appears to be a body. And they carry that body towards the back here. And then remember, there's no cameras after a certain point. Where was Kada's body found? Right here. Does it make sense now? Okay, Sequala said, yeah, that rec center isn't used anymore. My goodness. Wow, and you guys said it's dark AF at night there. Thank you, you floor. So I hope that makes sense, right? And so there's 2 cars now. There's the Hyundai Accent and the gold Camry on site, 2 to 3 people there doing things in the middle of the night, moving a body. Okay, so that's October 5th. And they say, consistent with the human body via the passenger side of the 2-door vehicle. Whoa, carry that object towards the playground in the general direction where human remains were recovered on October 18th of 2025. Approximately half an hour later, at about 4:25 a.m., 2 individuals approached the suspect vehicle and enter it for a short time period before exiting and walking back into the playground area and off camera about 1.5 minutes later. That's probably chucking the phone case, iPad case, glasses, and debit card. I think. On the 7th of October of 2025, 2 days later, at about 2:48 a.m., 1 individual is observed running from off camera from the playground area, entering the driver's seat of the suspect vehicle and driving off. An in-depth analysis of all the video footage recovered continues. Your affiant reviewed King's RTT measurements for his phone number related to the above listed criminal activity. The cellular measurement arcs develop a clear pattern of usage consistent with all of the above described criminal activity captured by video surveillance. Your affiant observed a series of overlapping measurements bands from multiple towers centered on what is now known to be the crime scene, indicating that King's device, and thus King, was located in the immediate area of the crime scene during all the criminal activity captured by the recreation center surveillance footage. An additional check was conducted related to the stolen vehicle taken from 6600 Sprague Street on the 3rd of October of 2025 at 11:30 p.m. There is a lack of records for the time period of the theft of the vehicle. There is measurement which occurred at 11:39, and again, that's like cut off here with how they scanned it. But they said that his phone was in the area when the vehicle was set on fire. Alley Cat said, is all this caught on camera somewhere? Well, that's what they're saying. There's surveillance footage, not all of it, but there's enough of it to prove a case, right? Thank you so much, Alley Cat, for your sticker. Here it also says that places King on the general area of the theft. King's device remained in the same general area of the vehicle theft until 12:22 a.m. on the 4th of October, 2025, when a clear path of travel initiates from the northwest section of Philadelphia to the southwest of Philadelphia. King's device traveled by vehicle back to Southwest Philadelphia via Germantown Avenue, Lincoln Drive, the I-76 corridors, and what is now known to be a frequent path of travel utilized by King's device throughout the RTT data records. King's device is in the area of 5500 Belmont Terrace by 12:42 a.m. So he keeps returning to that address, the 5500 block of Belmont Terrace, where these two females lived that were called in for questioning but let go. But their cell phones and all of that is interesting. That information they've shared about them is interesting. Now, King's device leaves the area of the rec center at the same time that the Hyundai, his device leaves the rec center at the same time the Hyundai Accent left the parking lot on the 7th of October of 2025, the day of the arson. His device traveled north and east and is placed in the immediate area of the arson scene by 2:58 a.m. It remained in the immediate area of the arson crime scene until 3:33 a.m. On the 18th of October of 2025, following an anonymous tip, which they're still investigating who gave that tip because they said it was very specific. I wonder if it's one of those two females or somebody that helped him. I don't know. Somebody may have called that in, right? Moonlit Cafe, thank you so much. So they said detectives conducted a grid search at ADA H. Lewis Middle School. Freshly disturbed soil was located along the northeast perimeter. Excavation revealed human remains consistent with a young female. A silver or gold earring matching one near the burial site was recovered by the rec center gate. On the 19th of October of 2025, the Philadelphia medical examiner positively identified the remains as Kada Scott, with cause and manner of death pending, which was announced today or within the last 24 hours as homicide, the cause being gunshot wound to the head. Based on the above described evidence, the movement and activity of King's cellular device correspond consistently with the timeline and geographic progression of the criminal incidents under investigation. His device demonstrates location patterns that place it near the scene of the initial vehicle theft, the arrival at the rec center and subsequent return trips to move the body the vehicle contained, the Accent's departure from the rec center, and ultimately within the immediate area of the arson scene during the relevant time frame. The sequence of RTT measurements, coupled with video evidence from the Aubrey Rec Center, supports that King is present for and participated in all of the crimes outlined in this affidavit, to include the theft and arson offenses described herein, as well as the conspiracy to commit them. Conspiracy means others are involved, so where are the others? Bring out them silver bracelets. On the 19th of October of 2025, Dr. Little of the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office, thankfully not Dr. Lindsay Simon, sorry about that, based on Ellen Greenberg's case. Dr. Little of the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office conducted a post-mortem examination of the human remains recovered from the gravesite inside the ADA H. Lewis Middle School. Dr. Little listed the cause and manner as pending further examination at this time. The remains recovered from the school were positively identified as missing person Kada Scott. On the 19th of October, Assistant District Attorney Tozlowski was advised of the facts and circumstances today and approved of the following charges. And now we know there's so many more, right? It's arson, causing or risking catastrophe, conspiracy, tampering with evidence, unauthorized use of an auto, recklessly endangering another person, receiving stolen property. Pennsylvania case records and all of this, right? We've got all of that, and he's being held on absolutely no bond now. No bail for him. Even if he has very wealthy parents, nobody can bail him out now. Because that's the rumor, right? Okay, so lastly, we'll do this one last time so that you can tie it all together, right? Sure, that was a lot. There's a lot of information there, hey? A lot to think about, but at least more information that we have now. Okay, so we resume and we're going back to number one. On October 3rd of 2025, a Hyundai Accent is stolen from this area, this 6600 block of Sprague Street, which is listed as here. So let's just put the little man here and have a look, shall we? Somewhere from around this area, a Hyundai Accent was stolen while food was being delivered. So it could be an Uber Eats driver or, you know, something like that, somebody delivering food, leaving the vehicle, idling, unlocked, keys in the ignition, I would guess, going quickly, I don't know to where, somewhere around here, right? Somewhere around here, something's blurred out there, to drop off some food, and then it's alleged that Keon King stole the vehicle. And from there, we go on October 4th of 2025, Kada Scott went on a date with a guy to Topgolf, and then she went home to this Rodney Street, to her family's home, got changed for work, changed it to her black scrubs, and then she went to work, which was the Terrace at Chestnut Hill. She'd only been working there for about 2 weeks, apparently. And there were 12 calls received between 9:30 at night and, 10, 12 p.m. And at 10 p.m., she answers one and says, "I can't believe you're calling me about this shit." Earlier in the day, she had sent Keon King a message saying, "Kidnap me later." And he said, "You better be up too." Okay, and they had plans to meet up later. So I don't know who was calling her about what at that time and annoying her as she just arrived at work. She then went into work and apparently worked, for a little bit, but then was out again because she had texted, "CM when you get here," like call me when you get here. And by 10:15 p.m., she got into a dark SUV and off she went, right? Okay. And where did they go? It's alleged it was Keon King driving the stolen Hyundai Accent, and they then drove, and her devices tracked towards this Aubrey Recreation Center, where she is then murdered. Gunshot wound to the head. And then the vehicle's left there, very likely with her body in it. The guy, Keon King, then goes to the Aubrey Arboretum around 11 p.m. And I would speculate, gets picked up from there by somebody, helpers. Now, if he is a drug dealer, he's probably got lots of helpers. You know what I mean? People that can just quickly pick him up from here or there or whatever. Maybe said I did a drop off or whatever it is, right? So he gets maybe picked up from the Aubrey Arboretum. Somehow he gets home, and where he's staying is this Belmont Terrace area. Okay, so if we now quickly put the little man here, wait, we can put him here somewhere. Somewhere around here, if you watch news clips, they show knocking somewhere around here. Around this general area. Knock, knock. 2 females living there who apparently used to be in an intimate relationship with each other. 2 of them getting nervous when police are asking them questions. They are aged 27 and 29. And they know Keon King. And he goes back and forth to this address repeatedly over the next days after Kada Scott is murdered. He's going back and forth to stay with these friends of his, these 2 females. And in that home, they find an iPad cover. No, a tablet. The iPad cover's at school. A tablet, 3 phones, a hammer, contractor bags, latex gloves, 9mm guns, ammunition, and other items, they say. Esme, thank you so much. Yeah, Caroline says, how did he get home from the arson site? Same thing, right? Somebody picked him up. So this was where he's going back and forth to this area, getting some rest in between all this alleged criminal activity. So from Belmont Terrace, where do we go? Now we go back on the next night, October 5th, we go back to this Aubrey Rec Center, and at some point, I'll put the gold Camry here, but it's probably more here as well, right? The gold Camry is somewhere around here, because the black Hyundai Accent was parked here, and at least 2 people exit the vehicle, and then somebody's driving the Hyundai as well, and then they're carrying a body, what appears to be a body, this way towards the back. Camera catches that, and this is where Kada Scott's body is found on October 18th. This was on October 5th. People helping to carry what appears to be a body, going back to this area, then going back there to probably dispose of items. Okay, and then if we go to where we're going next. He was caught on camera at this 2100 60th Street. So I just put that on there. And then the arson happened on October 7th at this 2300 block of 74th Avenue. Exactly. How did he get home after that? I would think he drove the Accent to there, set it alight at his favorite time, 3 a.m. And then somebody probably picked him up in his gold Camry. We don't know that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. The arson happens there, and then the Gypsy Lane condos is apparently his relatives might stay around there. That's where, over here, if you look here, you see this little circle? Somewhere around here, actually it looks like where this covered car is where his gold Camry is discovered. Why? Because the public calls in tips. The public tells the police, there's Facebook marketplace ads for this vehicle. And so that's interesting as well. Who did that? Did relatives know he was trying to sell the vehicle, and why? I don't know. But the vehicle was parked somewhere around here. And the public saw him idling in certain places, doing certain things. They called it in, they found the vehicle, right? And so that was there. Now what happens at point 11? Oh yeah, when Kada's body's found. Okay, on October 18th. Right, so that's what we have. I do actually have this for you, which I've linked in the description box for you. What is this one? We don't want that. There's Keon King. We've seen this video of him posted by at S4LCC on TikTok. I played this for you, right? From a previous case where Kada's body was found. And what else? I've linked the two 6abc.com articles that show clips of aerial footage from when the gold Camry was discovered, from when Kada's body was discovered, right? That general area. So yeah. Okay, what do you guys think? I'm looking forward to reading your comments. Please leave me some comments below. I wasn't able to pay attention to the chat too much. Right now we're going to teleport and go and have a members only live stream. I have a couple of cases I want to snark about. Okay, if you like me snarking, we're going to do that right now. You know, like Brian Koberger and his complaints and some other cases that I do want to do that about. So join me over there if you are a YouTube member. And if you're not a YouTube member and you want to see it at some point, you could always consider joining Patreon for $1. $1 a month, and you get all the YouTube members only replays and other exclusive behind the scenes content, right? Anyway, so thank you so much. I'll probably have to drink water before then. That was a lot of talking. I really appreciate you listening to all of that for an hour and 11 minutes already. And I really hope that there will be justice for Kada, and I mean like full justice. Like, let's arrest those other 2 or 3 people. Like 2 people, it sounds like. Yeah, I'm sure they're working on that, right? I'll be keeping an eye on it. Let's see if there's going to be any other arrests, what's going to happen, because it sounds like, yeah, people definitely helped him move cars and a body. Not cool. So I will see you again very soon. Please keep me posted as well. Thank you all for the emails. Thank you locals for emailing me. Really appreciate all the information as well. My email is grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. And of course, thank you mods for all your help too. All right, everyone, I'll see you in the member stream. I'm going to post the link for you now.